You know, riding around the ocean for an extended period of time on a cruise ship is not for everyone, especially if you are cruising for a long period of time. And what I'm talking about here is a period of time longer than, say, 2 weeks. Now, we have a friend who insists that any kind of cruise for her would be, as she says, absolute torture. She could not stand the idea of being on a ship with a bunch of people for any period of time. And you know, for a lot of people, that's probably true. But today, what we're going to talk about, Tanya and I, as you may know, are in the middle, we're about halfway through now, a 37-day cruise trip to Australia from the east coast of the United States. So right now we're floating around out in the South Pacific on our way to Tahiti. And in another couple weeks, if everything goes according to plan, we'll be in Sydney. But I want to talk to you about the attitude that you have to have if you're going to have a successful long-term cruise. And there are 4 elements that I think you have to keep in mind. Number 1 is develop a sense of, this may sound really corny, but a sense of gratitude and of compassion. So, for example, you're on a ship with probably 1,000 other people, and it's not your normal way of life. Your pattern is disrupted, your normal routine. But it really helps if when you wake up in the morning, you just center yourself for a minute and express to yourself a sense of gratitude. Happy that you're alive, happy that you are in a beautiful place. You're looking out at the ocean. I mean, how great is that? Just imagining the immensity of the sea, and there are no other ships out there. Just have that sense of gratitude. And then the second thing is a sense of compassion. A compassion not only toward yourself, but to your fellow passengers. You will find that there are a lot of people on cruise ships that are, some that are like you, but many that are not. And on a long-term cruise, like I say, over 14 days or so, many of those people are going to be older. They're going to have certain physical limitations, certain attitudinal I don't want to say limitations necessarily, but their attitude is going to be different toward life. Everybody is different. So just develop a sense of compassion and say, you know, if they're not going fast enough, if you have to walk around, you know, scooters or mobility devices, you know, just, you know, be charitable and just realize, look, they're out here doing the best they can, and they're probably grateful that they're alive and out here. The second thing that is important is to develop a mindset. It's not just an attitude then, it's a mindset as to why you're there. Is it a vacation or is it just an extension of your normal lifestyle? Well, if you're like Tanya and I, our lives are essentially a vacation all the time. We're retired. We don't have to get up to go to work in the morning. So it's a lifestyle choice. And that's going to make a lot of difference in number 3, which is the food and the physical exercise and maintaining your mental well-being. When you get on a cruise ship, there are lots of opportunities for either healthy lifestyle choices or unhealthy lifestyle choices. And there's where it gets down to your mindset. If you just have that vacation mentality where anything goes and, hey, look, I've got all this free stuff all over the place. I've got desserts and I can order, you know, really heavy meals every night and all of this stuff that you normally wouldn't. And you just sort of tell yourself, well, I'm on vacation, so I can do it and I'll gain 10 or 15 pounds and it doesn't matter. I get home, everything will be fine. Well, you know, as you get older, and I'd say the average age on this ship, I jokingly say it's about 95. It's not that old, but it is certainly over 70. And you know, if these people are going to gain, and I refer to myself as well. If you think you're going to gain 15 pounds on a cruise like this and lose it again, well, you're kidding yourself. It's going to take a long, long time. I looked at getting back to the demographics of the passengers. And here's where compassion comes in, because I started thinking, I was being very, self-righteous. And I was thinking, wow, so many of these people here are obese or morbidly obese. I mean, these people, they do not appear to be metabolically healthy. And I started thinking, are they deliberately just doing bad things to themselves? Are they? I see them eating cookies and ice cream and all this stuff. Oh, I would never do that, of course. But and I'm thinking, why are they doing this to themselves? Have they just given up? Have they realized that, well, okay, you only go around once, and I might as well just eat as much as I possibly can? Well, I don't think that's it. I've started to have a little bit more compassion about that, because I was thinking, and I think about my own self, I think, okay, good, I've got type 2 diabetes. Well, I have to be very careful about what I eat. Not that I always am, but if I'm going to hang around, that's what I need to do. So I started thinking, okay, I put some numbers to this, and I thought, okay, 30 to 40% of all Americans, anyway, are obese, at least. And 80 to 90% of people who have type 2 diabetes are obese. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the people who are obese necessarily have diabetes. And as a matter of fact, it ends up being actually a very small percentage of overweight or obese people actually do have diabetes. But some of them do. So those people that are obese, you could say, well, in essence, they could be metabolically healthy. Everything could be going just fine. And so who am I to be critical and uncompassionate and to say to myself, scolding them as they're going through the buffet line and through the dessert line, why are you doing this to yourself? Well, I had to tell myself, be a little compassionate. That had to do with my mindset, and maybe it would with yours too. Let me show you some of the things. If you've ever been on a cruise, or even if you haven't, this can be a reminder of some of the things that you can do to yourself physically that are not necessarily so good, whether you've got type 2 diabetes or not. Okay, pizza. There is always pizza on offer. Pizza and lots of rolls and bread. And there are desserts. There are not just the ice cream, but just pies and cakes and all sorts of desserts all the time. There are sandwiches with big bunches of baguettes that these sandwiches are put in, and they're available. I don't want to say 24 hours a day, but a lot more than it would be available probably if you were at home. Then there are the good things. There are salads. There are lots of protein choices on a cruise ship. And you can have steaks, you can have chicken, usually there's lots of different kinds of fish. Shrimp, always a popular item on a cruise ship. There's tons of shrimp that you can be eating. Some soups, a cheese plate for dessert. There's all kinds of good, healthy choices that you can make. And then, of course, you can indulge in exercise. What a concept. If you're kind of maintaining, this is good if you're maintaining the same sort of routine you do at home. If you usually take a walk in the morning before breakfast, or if you usually take a walk after dinner, something like that, you just keep that routine up. And it's very easy on a ship. You can walk around the deck. Now, if it's terrible weather, then you can always go up to the gym and use the treadmill. You can take the stairs instead of the elevator. And we've been very good about this on this particular cruise. We live on deck 5. The buffet line, the Lido, is on deck 9. The dining room is on deck 2 and 3. So it's pretty easy for us to go up and down, taking the stairs. Use the rowing machine or the weights in the gym, and so or the treadmill, of course, and you can maintain your fitness that way. And the fourth way to make sure that you have a successful long-term cruise and dealing with your attitude dealing with your behaviors, is to set a daily schedule. Some people may think, well, that's ridiculous. I'm on a cruise. I don't want to have a schedule. I just want to chill. Well, that's okay too, but if your normal life is you have a set schedule when you're home, if you're going to, you have to go to the grocery store, you have to do this, you have to go to the doctor's office, you have to go pick up this, whatever you're doing, you generally have a schedule. We'll do exactly the same thing when you're on a cruise. set a schedule. Say, okay, today I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to go to the gym at a certain time, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that. And so at least it sort of sets some kind of a framework, because what you find otherwise is that you can really get into what I call a cruise funk, where you'll do one of two things. Either one, you'll just be a complete blob, and you'll end up spending half your time taking really long naps, being back in your cabin, or you'll be laying out on a deck chair, maybe reading your book for a few hours, if that, before you fall asleep, and then before you know it, the day is gone. Or two, you can end up taking part in all of these activities that they always schedule on sea days. And if you're on a long cruise, there are going to be lots of sea days. And they'll put in all sorts of things that are, some are interesting, but really a lot of them are, they are kind of a waste of time. They'll have interesting lectures, but you can only go to so many of those. And think to yourself, am I just spending my time going to these silly things that yeah, I didn't know about this, but is that something that I would either bother to try and find out about if I was on my own, or am I just filling in the time? If that's what you want to do, when you get here, that's fine. Then at least you can put that into your schedule. But I think it's better to have a schedule where you say, look, I'm gonna read so many books. I'm gonna do this amount of time that I'm exercising. I'm gonna do this here. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that, and maybe skip some of these things that are the $7 martini hour, or whatever it is. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm saying is that have some kind of a structure. Otherwise, you're going to get to the end of a 30-day cruise or whatever, and you go, what the hell was that all about? And you may not be as psychologically or as physically healthy as you otherwise could be. So those are my ramblings for the day. Anyway, I hope this has been interesting to you at all, and has given you some tips on how you can adopt the positive attitudes that you can take when you're on your next long-term cruise. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.